The truth is, eating carbs actually helped me lower my blood sugar. Yeah, you heard that right. Not cutting carbs, eating them. When I first figured this out, even I couldn't believe it. I'm 68 now, and for years I was terrified of bread, rice, potatoes, all the foods I grew up loving. Every doctor, every article, every diet seemed to scream the same thing. Carbs are the enemy. I believed it. I lived it. And honestly, it made me miserable. But everything changed when I discovered one simple truth. It's not just about what carbs you eat. It's about how you prepare them. Once I learned this trick, not only did I stop fearing my favorite foods, but I also managed to stay off insulin. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. If this already sounds like something you need to hear, do me a favor, hit that like button and share this video with someone who's struggling. It might change their life just like it changed mine. Here's what nobody ever told me. Not all carbs are created equal. Some carbs, the ones prepared the right way, actually behave differently inside your body. They don't hit your blood sugar like a sugar bomb. Instead, they act more like fiber, slowing things down, keeping you full, steady, and stable. The secret is something called resistant starch. Don't worry, I'm not a scientist, and I'm not going to throw big words at you. Just think of it like this. When you cook certain carbs, let them cool, and sometimes reheat them, they change. They become kinder to your body. And the best part? These are everyday foods. Rice, pasta, bread, potatoes, even sweet potatoes and beans. I'm going to walk you through the 7 carbs I eat almost every single day to keep my blood sugar in check, without giving up the food I love. Number 7, green bananas or plantains. This one surprised me when I first learned about it. You know how ripe bananas are sweet and soft? Well, green bananas, the ones that are still firm, a little starchy, and not sweet yet, are a completely different story when it comes to blood sugar. I grew up thinking bananas were off limits if you had sugar problems. And yeah, if we're talking about ripe, spotty bananas, that's pretty much true. But green bananas and green plantains, they're actually one of the best carbs you can eat if you're trying to control your blood sugar. The reason is simple. Green bananas are packed with something called resistant starch. Remember how we talked about carbs that act more like fiber than sugar? This is exactly that. When you eat them while they're still green, not fully ripe, your body can't easily break down that starch into sugar. Instead, it passes through your digestive system more like fiber, feeding the good bacteria in your gut and helping keep your blood sugar steady. The first time I tried this, I'll be honest, I was skeptical, but it worked. My glucose numbers barely moved after eating them. The cool thing is, there are a bunch of easy ways to enjoy them. I like to boil green bananas or plantains, slice them up, and eat them as a side dish, kind of like how you'd eat potatoes. Sometimes I mash them with a little olive oil, salt, and pepper. Super simple, super filling. And if you're feeling adventurous, you can even bake them or toss them into soups. Just remember, once they start ripening and turning yellow, the resistant starch starts turning into sugar. So the trick is to eat them green. I'll be honest, when I first bit into one, I thought, okay, this isn't sweet, but it's not bad either. After a few tries, I actually started enjoying the taste. It's more savory, more hearty, and it pairs perfectly with meats, beans, or eggs. Plus, it's satisfying in a way that bread or rice sometimes isn't. You feel full but not heavy. And best of all, no sugar crash afterwards. Just steady energy that carries you through the day. This was one of the first carbs I added back into my diet when I learned about resistant starch. And honestly, it made me feel like I wasn't broken anymore. Like I didn't have to live in fear of every carb on my plate. If you've never tried green bananas or plantains, give it a shot. You might be surprised not just by how good they are, but by how good you feel after eating them. Number 6, sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes used to be one of those foods I wasn't sure about. You know how they taste a little sweet, right? So, for years, I just assumed they had to be bad for blood sugar. Turns out, I was completely wrong. Sweet potatoes are actually one of the smartest carbs you can eat, if you prepare them the right way. Once I figured this out, they became a regular part of my meals, and honestly, I don't miss regular potatoes nearly as much anymore. The trick here is simple. When you cook sweet potatoes, like boiling, baking, or steaming them, and then let them cool down, something magical happens. A good portion of their starch transforms into resistant starch. That means instead of turning straight into sugar, it behaves more like fiber. Your blood sugar stays steady. You feel full longer, and you avoid that crash that usually comes after eating regular starchy foods. I tested this out plenty of times with my glucose monitor, and every single time, the cooled sweet potatoes made a massive difference. These days, I love making a batch of boiled sweet potatoes, sticking them in the fridge overnight, and then reheating them the next day. Sometimes I slice them up, toss in the pan with a little olive oil or butter, and let them crisp up. Other times I just eat them cold as part of a salad. They're super versatile. You can mash them, cube them, roast them, whatever fits your mood. And the best part? They taste great. Naturally sweet, but not overwhelming. I also noticed something else when I started eating more sweet potatoes this way. My cravings went down. You know how sometimes you finish a meal and still feel like hunting the pantry for something else? That stopped happening. Sweet potatoes give the slow, steady kind of energy that carries me through the day. And digestion? Way smoother. Honestly, I started wondering why more people aren't talking about this. It feels like a cheat code for better health. So yeah, sweet potatoes went from being something I avoided to something I absolutely rely on. They're delicious, filling, and thanks to the simple trick of cooking and cooling, they become one of the best carbs I eat to stay off insulin. If you've only ever had them fresh out of the oven, give this a try. You'll be shocked at how much better your body handles them, and how much better you feel. Number 5, beans. Beans honestly feel like one of the most underrated superfoods out there. I grew up eating beans, black beans, pinto beans, kidney beans. But for a long time, I didn't realize just how powerful they are for blood sugar. Back when my numbers started creeping higher, I assumed all carbs were a problem, including beans. But when I started learning more about resistant starch, I realized beans are actually one of the best carbs you can eat to stay steady, full, and off the blood sugar roller coaster. Here's the best part. Beans naturally come loaded with resistant starch. You don't even have to play the cook and cool game as much as you do with rice or potatoes. They're already packed with fiber and that magic kind of starch that slows everything down in your digestive system. I tested this myself more times than I can count. I'd have a plate of rice and beans. But when the beans were the bigger part of the meal, my blood sugar stayed surprisingly steady. It blew my mind the first time I saw that. Cooking beans is simple. You can make a big pot at the beginning of the week. Black beans, navy beans, pinto beans, chickpeas, whatever you like, and then just keep them in the fridge to use all week long. I throw them on salads, mix them with veggies, or pair them with a little bit of rice. And guess what? The rice becomes safer too when it's combined with beans. That fiber slows down everything. Plus, it's filling, deeply, satisfyingly filling, in a way that bread or pasta never quite managed for me. Something else I noticed when I started eating more beans, my energy stayed steady, and I didn't get those annoying cravings that usually hit mid-afternoon. You know what I'm talking about, that little voice in your head whispering, "Go grab something sweet." Beans shut that voice right up. They leave you feeling satisfied for hours. And digestion? Let's just say, way smoother, way better. It's like giving your gut a little thank you gift with every meal. Beans have become a non-negotiable part of my life now. Cheap, easy, delicious, and powerful. And the fact that they help me enjoy other carbs, like rice or tortillas, without sending my blood sugar through the roof? Total game changer. If you've been sleeping on beans, now's the time to bring them back to your plate. Trust me, your body's going to thank you. Number 4, bread. Now, let's be honest. If there's one carb I thought I'd have to say goodbye to forever, it was bread. I mean, bread is everywhere. Breakfast toast, sandwiches, dinner rolls. It's just part of life. And for a long time, I was convinced it was one of the worst things I could eat for my blood sugar. Every time I had a sandwich, I'd feel that sluggish crash afterward. It felt like bread was my enemy. But here's the wild part. I found a way to keep bread in my life without sending my numbers through the roof. The trick is shockingly simple. It's all about freezing. Yep, freezing bread actually changes the way your body processes it. When you freeze bread and then toast it or let it thaw, part of the starch transforms into resistant starch. That means your body absorbs it more slowly, like fiber, instead of it turning into a sugar rush. I tested this over and over again with my glucose monitor. Fresh bread, big spike. Frozen and then toasted, way, way better. These days, I keep almost all my bread in the freezer. Whether it's sandwich bread, sourdough, whole wheat, or even baguettes, it lives in the freezer now. When I want a slice, I pull it out, pop it in the toaster, and enjoy it without that nagging guilt or the sleepy crash afterward. Pair it with some protein like eggs, turkey, or cheese, and maybe a little healthy fat like avocado, and it becomes a meal that actually works for my body, not against it. The coolest part? This trick doesn't change the taste. If anything, frozen and toasted bread tastes even better. Crisp on the outside, soft on the inside, and it fits perfectly into my daily life. I can still enjoy my morning toast or an afternoon sandwich without feeling like I'm gambling with my health every time I take a bite. It's the kind of small change that makes a massive difference. Honestly, figuring this out felt like getting a piece of my life back. Bread wasn't the enemy. I just had to learn how to work with it instead of against it. So if you've been avoiding bread out of fear, try this. Keep it in the freezer. Toast it when you need it, and pair it with protein or fat. It's one of those little wins that makes living with blood sugar issues feel a whole lot more doable. Number 3, pasta. I'll be honest, pasta was one of the hardest things for me to give up when I first started worrying about my blood sugar. I mean, who doesn't love a good plate of spaghetti, macaroni and cheese, or pasta salad? But every time I ate it fresh, my glucose numbers shot up like a rocket. It felt unfair. Something so comforting was suddenly off limits. But once I discovered how resistant starch works, pasta went from off the table to being something I enjoy regularly, without the crazy sugar spikes. The trick here is simple but powerful. Cook your pasta like you normally would. Boil it until it's tender. But instead of eating it fresh and hot, drain it, let it cool completely, and stick in the fridge for a few hours or overnight. When you cool pasta, some of its starch transforms into resistant starch. That means your body digests it slower, turning less of it into quick sugar. The difference is real. I checked my blood sugar multiple times doing this, and every single time the cooled pasta gave me a much steadier response. What's even better is that reheating doesn't ruin this effect. Once the resistant starch forms, you can warm the pasta back up, saute it, microwave it, toss it in a hot sauce, and it still keeps most of that resistant starch benefit. These days, I'll often cook a big batch, store in the fridge, and then use it for quick meals throughout the week. Pasta salads, baked pasta dishes, or just a quick bowl with olive oil and veggies. It all works. And here's a little trick that makes it even better. Combine that pasta with protein, like grilled chicken, ground turkey, shrimp, or eggs, and add in some healthy fat like olive oil, pesto, or even cheese. That combination slows everything down even more in your digestion. Instead of a sugar rush, you get steady energy that lasts for hours. Plus, it's delicious. Honestly, it feels like winning. Eating the food you love without paying the price afterward. Pasta used to be a guilty pleasure. Now it's just pleasure. No guilt, no fear. Just a smarter way to enjoy the foods that make life feel good. This little trick changed everything for me. And if you've been missing pasta in your life, it can change things for you too. Cook it, cool it, reheat it, and enjoy it like you deserve. Number 2, potatoes. If there's one carb I thought I'd never be able to enjoy again, it was potatoes. I mean, come on, potatoes are everywhere. Mashed potatoes, baked potatoes, fries, hash browns. It's comfort food at its finest. And for the longest time, I truly believed they were off limits for someone like me watching blood sugar. Every time I ate them fresh and hot, my numbers would shoot through the roof. It felt like a cruel joke. How could something so basic, so comforting, be so bad for me? But thankfully, that wasn't the end of the story. The same trick that works for pasta and rice works beautifully with potatoes. Cook them first, whether you boil, bake, or steam them, and then let them cool completely. Cooling them changes the structure of the starch, turning a big chunk of it into resistant starch. This means your body processes it slower, like fiber, instead of flooding your bloodstream with sugar. I tested this over and over again with my glucose monitor, and the difference was like night and day. Fresh mashed potatoes, big spike. Chilled or reheated mashed potatoes, way smoother, way better. These days, I plan ahead. I'll cook a batch of potatoes, sometimes whole, sometimes diced, and stick them in the fridge overnight. The next day, I'll slice them up and saute them in olive oil for crispy breakfast potatoes, or I'll reheat them as roasted potatoes for dinner. And if you're wondering, yes, reheating doesn't ruin the resistant starch. It stays intact. You get that comfort food satisfaction without paying the price in blood sugar spikes. Pairing potatoes with protein and fat makes it even better. Think roasted potatoes with grilled chicken, a baked potato with sour cream and some turkey, or breakfast potatoes with eggs and avocado. That combo slows everything down in your digestion, keeps you full longer, and avoids the sugar roller coaster. And honestly, it tastes amazing. There's no sense of sacrifice, just smart, delicious eating. Figuring this out was like getting a piece of my life back. Potatoes went from being the enemy to being part of my weekly meals again. And the best part? I don't have to feel guilty or anxious every time I eat them. Just a little planning, cook, cool, reheat, and I get to enjoy the foods I love while keeping my blood sugar right where it needs to be. Number 1, white rice. If you had told me a few years ago that I could eat white rice and still manage my blood sugar, I would have laughed. Rice was one of the first things I tried to cut when my numbers started creeping higher. It felt like every time I had a bowl of rice, whether it was stir-fry, beans, or chicken, my glucose monitor would scream at me. I love rice. I grew up with it. It's part of so many meals, comforting, simple, satisfying. But it always felt like the price was too high, until I learned the trick that completely changed everything. Just like with pasta and potatoes, the magic is in the cooking, cooling, and sometimes reheating. When you cook white rice and then let it cool, even better if it sits in the fridge overnight, a big portion of the starch turns into resistant starch. That means your body handles it totally differently. Instead of it rushing into your bloodstream as sugar, it breaks down slower, acting more like fiber. I tested this over and over again. Fresh rice, big spike. Cooled and reheated rice, way smoother. It still amazes me how powerful this simple change can be. Now, here's how I do it. I'll cook a big batch of rice, usually jasmine or basmati because they have a lighter texture, and then let it cool completely in the fridge. The next day, I'll reheat portions as needed. Sometimes I'll toss in a pan with veggies and a little olive oil for a stir-fry. Other times I just microwave it with some beans and chicken. It works perfectly for meal prep. Quick, easy, and my blood sugar stays happy. Want to make it even better? Pair that rice with beans. The fiber from the beans slows everything down even more. Or add protein like grilled chicken, salmon, or even eggs. Throw in some healthy fat like avocado or olive oil, and suddenly, rice isn't the enemy anymore. It becomes part of a balanced meal that tastes amazing and leaves you feeling good, not sluggish or foggy afterward. Learning this was a total game changer for me. Rice was one of the foods I missed the most when I thought I had to give it up. But I don't anymore, and neither do you. Cooking, cooling, and pairing it with the right foods turned rice from a blood sugar bomb into something I can enjoy almost daily. It feels like having my life back, one delicious bowl at a time. You know, if someone had told me years ago that I could enjoy carbs, real carbs, and still manage my blood sugar, I probably would have laughed. It sounded impossible back then. But here I am, at 68, living proof that it's not only possible, it's real. Bread, rice, pasta, potatoes, sweet potatoes, beans, even green bananas, they're all part of my life. And not just sometimes, almost every single day. The difference is, now I know how to make them work for me, instead of against me. This isn't about cutting everything out. It's about getting smarter with the food you already love. Cooking, cooling, and sometimes reheating turns these carbs into something your body can handle better. Something that keeps your blood sugar stable instead of sending it through the roof. And pairing them with protein, fiber, and healthy fats? That's the secret sauce that makes it all come together. These small habits stack up, and over time, they create big change. Movement was the other game changer. I used to think exercise meant going to the gym or doing something extreme. But nope, a simple walk after meal, climbing the stairs, dancing in the living room, it's enough. Moving those big muscles right after eating helps your body use up sugar naturally. It's like giving your system a little boost without needing more meds or more stress. And let me tell you, this isn't about being perfect. I still have days when I slip. Life's like that. But now I have tools, simple, real tools, that let me enjoy my food, enjoy my life, and stay off that blood sugar roller coaster. Food isn't the enemy. Carbs aren't the enemy. We just needed to learn how to use them right. One last thing. I'm not a doctor, just someone sharing what worked for me. Always check with your healthcare provider before making big changes, especially if you're on medication. But I hope this gave you something more powerful than just tips. I hope it gave you hope. If this video helped, hit that like button, share it with someone you care about, and remember, it's never too late. Your body still knows how to heal, and your best days, they're not behind you. They're still ahead.